Well, the weekend is getting hot and hot and hot with a lot of wrestling. On this episode, we're going to be doing GCW's latest event, Highest in the Room, which is a show I did not see completely yesterday, but I get to do it right now for you guys. And also, more with GCW, but this time going GCW versus Fist, control over my hometown, San Diego, California. Also, we got New Japan Strong with Fighting Spirit Unleashed, and finally, Impact Wrestling's Victory Road, where we have some incredible matches with championships on the line. So, let's get started with another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up. 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 Get up, get up.
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, let's begin with GCW's Highest in the Room, which took place on the 17th of September in LA. Of course, the main event being Minoru Suzuki versus Jonathan Gresham. But let's go from the start of the show all the way to the end. Opening match was a six-way scramble match. Jimmy Lloyd versus ASF versus Eli Everfly versus Gringo Loco versus Aries versus Everett Connors. Now, anything could happen in a six-way scramble match, but to me, there were the one person, well, the few I thought that were gonna win was, of course, was either Aries or Jimmy Lloyd. But I was surprised that it was ASF. Now, to me, the kid seems new when I'm watching, but he did an impressive match, so I give him credit. Oh, excuse me. Oh. Anyway, next match we have Effie versus Too Cold Scorpio. Now, we all know the kind of person Effie is. He will try to win his matches in a gayish way, but Too Cold Scorpio, he knows what he's gonna have to do, but it did not stop him from trying to beat Effie, which that's exactly what he did. But however, Effie got respect from Too Cold, and we all got down and boogie at the end of the match. Next match, we got Jordan Oliver facing off the return of Alex Zane. It's great to see Zane back. I mean, don't get me wrong, I did like him when he was when we saw him in 205 Live, but however, him back in GCW, way better. I mean, we all can. You probably heard the fans go, "Welcome back, welcome back," and it's great that he's back. I hope he's back for more. And his match with Jordan Oliver was great. I think this was more like a popularity contest, like who is the bigger star. I mean, both guys are great, but however, with Alex, it looks like he hasn't missed anything. It's like he's never left, and he did win. Excuse me, but he did win his match. I think it was pretty good. Next match, we got Ninja Mac versus Acticus Cogar. Now, we all know Acticus Cogar is a member of 440, the most disturbing, disgusting faction ever. Atticus Cogar actually got away with it by taking off Ninja Mac's mask and use it against him, trying to play mind games. And that's what he does. Atticus Cogar claims he's the best that he is, but he's also the biggest slimeball in the business. So that's how, in the story-wise, plays out. He got away with it. Next match, we got a group of young wrestlers. We got Lucas Riley making his debut, teaming with Nick Wayne, and of course Starboy Charlie taking on second gear crew, AJ Gray, Mance Warner, and Matthew Justice. I have to say, this was a match where, okay, the young boys, they have no clue what they were getting themselves into, but I have to say, they put up a good match to show the younger guys that they can hang guys with the second gear crew, veterans, and I have to say, it was a beautiful match, But however, it was the second gear crew that ended really, really bad. Well, good, but bad for the young boys. But I think they would be an excellent addition. I would like to see these three guys team up again. Now, our next match is a death match between G Raver and Alex Colon. Now, there is no story build up between these two guys. But however, them being two of the top death matchers in GCW, it was great. But mostly I've been seeing like G Raver try to take much of the control of the match. But somehow Alex Colon was able to overturn it and he made G Raver pass out at the end, having the ref to call the match, knowing it was already over. And it was pretty good, I have to say. I liked it. Now our next match we have Chris Dickinson taking on Jacob Fatu. This was a really hard-hitting match. Now you all know Jacob Fatu is the Samoan werewolf and part of the Inoue family. He is a beast, but he doesn't give a damn what you have to say or what you have to feel or whatever. He just is there to just murderize you. But as Nico would say, Hail Contra! That's what he would say. But not this time. But it ended in a disqualification thanks to Jacob Fatu, allowing for Chris Dickinson to win the match. But Fatu was out of control. Even Starboy Charlie tried to speak reason with them. Even Juicy shows up, tried to reason, but he sided with Jacob Fatu regardless. And I thought we may see a match between Juicy and Fatu taking on Dickinson and Starboy Charlie. Our next match is Tony Deppen taking on Ron Funches. Now, Ron Funches was the guy who got knocked out by Tony Deppen. Basically, the match was pretty good, but also had some very funny moments. We had Danhausen shows up, bringing out tequila, but all of a sudden, someone that Ron thought he had on its corner, a guy named Paul Shear, turned on him. Sided with Deppen in an alley catch, left commentary that beats Deppen and Shear up. But however, the match did not end with Funches to win the match. It ended up with Tony Deppen. But do we think this is the last of it? I don't know. Now our main event is Jonathan Gresham versus the King Minoru Suzuki. This match was awesome. I have to say it brought out a lot of the best of Jonathan Gresham. Like he knows who's he going up against, but was it enough? To the answer to that, no. It's not. But however, in the post match, another king showed up, and that king is none other than the king of death matches and the leader of MDK, Nick Gage, and he issued a challenge to Minoru Suzuki on October 23rd. And of course, Minoru Suzuki, the man that we know, he never backs down from a challenge. And many of my friends who I tell them about this match, they're all stoked and excited. I can't wait to see this match take place. But as of right now, let's move on with the other GCW event that I mentioned, GCW versus Fist. Okay, our next review we got is GCW versus Fist Combat, which is control over San Diego, California. So basically, it's more like GCW's invading the territory here in San Diego, where I'm originally from, and of course, the promotion's from. Um, so basically, we had the GCW guys versus the Fist guys. Um, Opening match was members of of GCW and Fist facing off in some sort of a scramble match. You know, basically it loses control. However, here's who they had. We had AJ Gray versus Cameron Gates versus Mostro's Jungle versus Venom versus Helm Rosecrow versus Acticus Cogar versus Ellis Taylor versus Wicket Wicket. Now, the some of the Fist Combat wrestlers I do not recognize, well, except for Venom. But who could have won this match? Well, I'll give you the short version. It was none other than Acticus Cogar, who got away with it by applying a low blow to win the match. Now, that is the sign of Acticus Cogar, who is trying to win his matches in any means necessary. That is the 440 way, the way he's been doing it ever since then. But luckily, none of his compadres were involved in this. Our next match is also another Fist versus GCW. Brandon Justin from Fist taking on GCW's Jordan Oliver. So this is more like a battle of who is the better person or the better popularity guy. And Justin was doing every means necessary. But what I did like impress of this match was Justin doing like a springboard off the ropes stunner. I'm like, wow. Basically, he just pulled himself out of the ring ropes and then stunned him. I'm like, I don't know if anybody's done that, but that was pretty good, and that allowed him for him to win the match. Our next match is the GCW Tag Team titles on the line. We have the Fist's tag team, Doomfly, consistent of Eli Everfly and his wife Delilah Doom. I hope it's his wife, taking on Second Gear Crew, Matt Warner and Matthew Justice. But however, before the start of the match, we have a bit of a issue with the fans who just don't like them or whatever they were trying to do. But they were managed to get it under control. But however, it was a very interesting match because we saw the Doomfly, who most likely would have won this match. But however, it was Second Gear Crew who won it by doing an upset by under the cradle or whatever they called it in order for them to win. I think that was the biggest surprise that they ever pulled, and I don't think Doomfly expected that. But they did a pretty good job standing up against two dudes like that. Our next match is the Get Fist television title between Effie and Honest John. Now, I want to note this to everybody. I have seen Honest John before at some of the Level Up shows. Don't remember which ones. I know he was in a tag team match, a singles match, but what I liked about this match, Honest John was trying to play Effie's game, basically be all gayish right in front of him. So basically, it kind of worked in his favor. Now, he pulled an amazing pinfall when he was rolling up to ensure Effie's shoulders remain on the mat to give time for the ref to make the count. So this is more like an upset, knowing that even though Honest John retained the title, but Effie did not. Now our main event is, of course, Nick Gage of taking on Dirty Ron, who is the founder and promoter of Fist. Ron came from the rafters out of the blue, but the match was great. It was out of control. All kinds of toys were in the ring. Tables, light tubes, including Nick Gage's favorite pizza cutter. However, Nick Gage or whoever, apparently many of the GCW guys, we had two Second Gear Crew showed up. We even got Effie. But however, Fist Combat lost the match, and now GCW runs the shows in San Diego. Now, I don't know how this is going to work out or play out. I do have my sources, and I will get to the bottom of that. And hopefully, but if GCW does come to San Diego, I'm definitely going to see those shows. It's going to be fun to watch. But as of right now, let's move on with New Japan Strong for Fighting Spirit Unleashed. Okay, New Japan Strong, finally they get some fans. It's great to hear fans come again. I think it's going to be great. Hopefully one day I'll get to see a New Japan Strong show, which is going to be on my bucket list. The opening match is once again the Alex Coughlin challenge, and this time his opponent is none other than the Stone Pitbull and 1/3 of the six-man never openweight tag team champions, Tomohiro Ishii. I have to say this was an incredible match. I think this showed a lot of challenge with Alex Coughlin, knowing he's taking a bigger but much tougher competitor. It was like saying to him, bring on the stronger ones you got. And Tomohiro Ishii is no exception. Now, if I was a betting man, I would have been so scared to see Minoru Suzuki because I know for a fact he will try to murder Alex Coughlin. But having Tomohiro Ishii was the best, and I think it showed a lot of respect and character with Alex Coughlin, knowing he lost against a guy like to a guy like, of course, Ishii, but however, Alex Coughlin will be stronger and ever, and there'll be in no doubt in my mind he will graduate soon from the LA Dojo. Our next match we have is a six-man tag team match. We have Stray Dogs the Stray Dog Army, consistent of Barrett Brown, Bateman, and Mysterioso taking on Clark Connors, Carl Fredericks, and of course the IWGP United States Heavyweight Champion Hiroshi Tanahashi. It was a good match. I have to say, a good cohesive match between Tanahashi and Fredericks with Connors. Now you probably say, how is that? Simple. Tanahashi's good friends with their mentor, Shibata, and they did an amazing job. But I think the major victory comes from Carl Fredericks, and he was the one who takes the victory on this one. But however, it wasn't done. He called out a certain person who disrespected Shibata and the LA Dojo. And he called out Will Ospreay, demanding that he'll challenge him for the so-called real IWGP World Heavyweight title. But Ospreay got the better of him when he brawled with him in the ring by giving him the hidden blade. So it looks like this match is really going to take place sooner than we think. Now, our main event is a tables match between Hakuleo versus Juice Robinson. Now, according to what the commentators mentioned, Hakuleo has lost many times over as a young lion to Juice Robinson, and now it's more like payback where he gets his hands on Juice Robinson. And I have to say, but here's the rules: if you accidentally threw yourself on the table, you don't win. You have to put your opponent through the table. Yeah, meaning if I chokeslam him through a table, I win. So that's what they were trying to do. However, there were moments like that where it looked like they could have won in that way, but no. But it was Hakuleo who put Juice Robinson right through the table. But there was a moment before that, and I don't know if he got injured, but it was a really good match, and I have to say Fighting Spirit Unleashed was a good show. I enjoyed it. Can't wait for day 2 coming up next week. But for now, we're going to end the episode with the next review. We're talking about Impact Wrestling Victory Road. Alright, the last thing we're going to review is Impact Wrestling's Victory Road. We have the opening match was a triple threat. We have Steve Maclin versus TJP versus Petey Williams. Now, this whole thing happened because of, Steve Maclin attacked Petey Williams, and then he tried to hurt TJP, but Petey Williams helped him. So it became like more of a multiple storylines that was collided into one. But however, the match ended in favor of Steve Maclin because Petey Williams put TJP in a Canadian Destroyer, but later he pulled Petey Williams out of the way so he can pick up the victory for himself. So basically, he took the advantage. But the real question is this rivalry between him and Petey Williams over? I don't know. We'll see what happens this coming Thursday on Impact. Our next match, we have like a 5-way, somewhat scramble match. We have Black Taurus, John Skyler, Jake Something, Laredo Kid, and Trey Miguel. This match was good. However, the bigger threats in this match was Jake something who's powerful, but at the same time you got to keep an eye on this opportunist, Jock Schuyler. But each person brought into the table was pretty good. I have to say, you have Laredo Kid and Trey Miguel. They have the speed. Jake something and Black Toros have the Jake something has the power. Black Taurus has both the strength and the speed. John Schuyler, I don't know, but it's a pretty interesting match. But it was Laredo Kid that picked up the victory when he put away what's his name, John Schuyler from the match, and it was more of a payback for what happened the last time on Impact. Now our next match is a women's match. We have Tennille Dashwood being accompanied by the Influence, Madison Rain, and Caleb with the K, taking on Taylor Wilde, being accompanied by Rachel Ellering and Jordan Grace. The match was pretty good. It did show a lot of character where, of course, Tennille Dashwood has always been about her, even though Taylor does not want nothing to do with it when they first met. But however, the seconds from both sides could not get themselves to hold back due to interference coming from Tennille and the help the help from, of course, Ellering and Grace. But the ref made one choice only to make this fair. He threw both seconds out, and of course, it gave a perfect ending for Taylor Wilde to pick up the victory against Tennille Dashwood, finally winning her, but this time without the Influence getting in the way. Our next match is a no disqualification match. We have Rohit Raju taking on Matt Cardona. This was a revenge for what Rohit did to his fiancee Chelsea Green. But as you know, I knew that Rohit Raju had something up his sleeve. He brought in Shira to ensure he wins, but however, it did not work in his favor. Now, it seems like Rohit Raju was about to make things work for him until Chelsea Green got involved and gave Cardona to pull off the silencer onto Rohit Raju, winning the match. But the real question is, will this match be squashed? Well, we'll see what happens this Thursday. Our next match we have is the Bullet Club. Chris Bay and Hakuleo taking on Finn Juice, David Finley, and Juice Robinson. The one thing it did play out in this one where we're seeing now is the Bullet Club now making a statement. But however, it was Chris Bay who took the shot at Juice Robinson with the ankle on him with the chair, giving him the chance for Hakuleo to pick up the victory for their team. But do we think the Bullet Club is going to continue to expand? We don't know. We'll see what Jay White has to say. Our next match we have is W. Morrissey and Moose taking on the unusual team of Eddie Edwards and Sami Callihan. The match was going great until, however, Morrissey decided to use Eddie Edwards' wife Alicia as leverage to force him to stand down. But at the same time, Morrissey decided to do the unthinkable. He powerbombed Alicia to send a direct message because he thinks that his way is the correct way. But if I know Eddie Edwards, he will come after him and break him. However, he left Sami behind to attend Alicia. I have a feeling Sami and Eddie will have a little chat. But however, they'll get through that somehow. But don't hold your breath. Now let's get to the championship matches. First one, we got the Impact Knockouts Tag Team titles between the challengers Tasha Steelz and Savannah Edwards taking on the K's, Rosemary, and Havoc. Now, Steelz and Evans stole the titles from the K because they believe they belong to them. Basically, Tasha's already been champion twice. But I have to say, the way this match went, it told a story that right now the K are still strong as they've always been since winning these titles. But Tasha and Savannah Evans are not 100% cohesive or have any synchronization to win. But we'll see how that goes in the upcoming weeks with them. Our next match we have is the Impact World Tag Team titles. We have Rich Swann and Willie Mack with their game faces ready to go to war against the Good Brothers. It was a good match. I enjoyed it. But however, it was the gun stun by Carl Anderson to Willie Mack that pulled off the victory and then later ended with the Magic Killer for having them retain the titles. But the real question now is who will be strong enough to dethrone the Good Brothers once and for all? Our next match we have is the Impact X Division title, which is one of my favorite titles in Impact. I have to say, is one hell of a match seeing Chris Sabin, an 8-time X Division champion, taking on a new breed of Josh Alexander. Even though Alexander's not a high flyer, but there's no limits with him when it comes to displaying powerness into him because there is no limit. That's what the X Division's about. And I think it showed character how he is the future of the X Division, what it needs. And I think Chris Sabin thought he could be the guy that could continue on with the X Division lineage, but however, he did not lose thanks to Alexander when he pulled off that spike move or whatever he calls it, allowing himself to win. But however, Chris Sabin showed respect to Josh Alexander being the future of the X Division. But however, he whispered something into his ear. It was still no clue what he said to him. However, we will talk about that. Now, our main event we have is the Impact World title between the youngest competitor, Ace Austin, along with Madman Fulton, taking on the champion, Christian Cage. I have to say, the match went really well. Of course, Fulton had to get involved, but he got himself thrown out. But I think the best moments is when Christian Cage was able to apply the kill switch to lay down Ace Austin on the ground and pick up the victory 1, 2, 3. But however, that's not end. It appears the Whisper has finally revealed what it was the moment Josh Alexander showed up at the post match of this match between Austin and Cage. It turned out Josh Alexander has just called his shot. Said Bound for Glory, taking place next month in October. But he also said the one words I had a feeling he was going to say. Option C. Now, those who are new and never seeing Impact, you probably say, what the hell is Option C? I'll give you the short version. Option C was a relinquished right. Basically, it was created by Austin Aries, a very well-known wrestler back in the day. Austin Aries created it as a way to say, I relinquished the X Division Championship for a shot of the world title. So that's what it's all about. And I think that's what Chris Sabin whispered to Josh Alexander. Now, to me, seeing this, it could make sense. What if Impact Wrestling wants to find a very stronger competitor? And I feel that guy who can fill up those shoes, it has to be Josh Alexander. He's been a very impressive. I have to say, I like him more as a singles competitor than he ever was as a tag team competitor. And I think it plays out pretty well. But that's just me. But we'll see what happens on this coming Thursday on Impact. Well, I hope you guys enjoy this episode. This weekend has been crazy with a lot of pro wrestling from GCW, Got to Move, New Japan, wherever I can get my hands on. But right now, the weekend is not over. We got more of Got to Move. This is going to be day 2 of the 3 shows they posted out. And of course, we got day 2 of the G1 Climax 31, where we're going to see possibly the B block take the center stage in order to see who will gain their first ever 2 points, or possibly we end up in a draw. That all depends on that. But also, if I do have an opportunity, I will throw in the all-female promotion Shine, which is going to be awesome to talk about. But if I do have another chance, I'll throw in another wrestling promotion just for all of you. But right now, I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.